Hey, it is Monday, June 1st. Monday after a weekend of protesting, rioting in Minneapolis, Minnesota, due to the killing of George Floyd. I figured we would do a little recap on this weekend's activities, per se. We have seen a lot happen here in my home state of Minnesota, primarily in Minneapolis. The people have shown very little unrest to the killing of George Floyd and to the Minneapolis Police Department, continuing throughout this weekend and a lot of last week. We have had some steady political agendas. I mean that there has been some still police, I feel, injustices that have taken place during this protest. We have found that our governor, well, after 3 days of looting and rioting and peaceful protesting, took him 3 days to actually call out and actually activate our National Guard, given that our governor is, well, in my own opinion, would be like a guy that's really not fit for the position that he's in, and quite honestly hasn't offered any real solutions, has just gone at it with havoc to hope that it stops havoc, has been so far his answer. He's really not fit for office, but anyways, that's a different discussion. We have seen, I'm sure you all have seen the videos, I'm sure you've watched Minneapolis police and National Guard go after people by spraying repeatedly tear gas, rubber bullets, flashbangs, and disregard for any civilian life. We have seen a complete, just not real good policing, just a complete intimidation factor. If you watch the video of the people sitting on their porch outside of their own home on private property, we apparently don't uphold the Constitution anymore. Our civil liberties rights have just, they're obsolete, I guess, during this time. So if you're sitting outside your house, what do they use? Fire them up or shoot them up or something at that rate. So they just started shooting tear gas paintballs at the people standing on their porch. Apparently that's illegal now. Oh, based off a curfew that was issued to everyone in the cities that starts at 8 p.m. because our freedom of being able to walk the streets or even go to the grocery store or even stand out on your front porch and on your own property now is deemed illegal. I would just go off the motion that I believe that our civil liberties and our constitutional rights in a free America, we don't live in. I'm surprised the government doesn't realize this, but we've been in wars to fight Nazi Germany and to stop these oppressions and to stop global oppressions of this kind of behavior, and it seems like we're taking straight out of the Hitler handbook at this one. Regardless if there's riots, regardless if there's looters, these people weren't in the middle of downtown Minneapolis. They weren't in the middle of where looters or rioters were. They were simply standing on their front steps, getting shot at by the police. Now, that is the most disturbing thing I guess I really saw, besides a tanker flying on speeding on a freeway that peaceful protesters were at. The whole other side of the freeway was blocked off. Police have not gotten fully to block off the side of where that tanker drove, and nearly ran over people, drove right through the crowd of people, right to the middle before he slammed on his brakes. Today they issued that he didn't have any ill intent. I find that quite interesting to see that he didn't have any intent, or he's just blind. I mean, the story is that apparently he didn't see the other barrier, the barricade of the other side of the freeway. He missed that the police were currently barricading the side that he was on. But besides all that, he missed the estimated 1,000 people protesting on the freeway peacefully that they have planned to be doing, and that was okayed by the city to be doing. A simple, constitutionally right. So he missed all them until he was halfway through them, and then he pressed on his brakes, slammed on his brakes, couldn't slow down, couldn't stop previously to the protesters, couldn't easily work his way through. No. It's justified now that if you're on the bridge and you're flying down and there's 1,000 people there, I mean, according to some people on social media, that it was okay for him to do. That to be able to just fly into 1,000 people. That's justice, apparently. But looting and rioting and starting fires, it is completely uncalled for, and that's completely just insane, and them are horrible people. But on the other hand, out of the other side of their mouth is a trucker with a full tank that he was hauling, a tanker, flying into 1,000 people is completely justified and okay. I fail to see the logic in that. I fail to see where that's an acceptable event that you could justify it. The man was arrested after he was ripped out of his vehicle and forced to stop his vehicle. He did take a few punches to the face. I'll give you that. Probably shouldn't have had that happen. Really didn't need to beat his ass. But there was also the protesters that also stopped other protesters from issuing violence on him. So pick whatever the side of the field that you want to on that. But the primary problem here is that he drove his full tanker into a crowd of 1,000 people that were peacefully protesting. So through all of this, it's still been just completely insane. National Guard has came in, and from the videos I've seen and from the understanding I have, is they have only instigated the problem, not really step back and really try to solve these issues. As far as the media has been, CNN has been arrested, WCCO, Fox, they've all been shot at. They've all very clearly have told the police and the National Guard that they are the media. They're supposed to be out there getting footage and getting the news out to the people that aren't there and letting the world see what is happening. Shooting at them with rubber bullets and shooting tear gas at them does not just seem like the viable answer, considering a lot of these protests that they're going up to and doing this to are the peaceful protesters. As far as the looters and rioters, the ones that they're supposed to be stopping, the people at businesses or the peaceful protesters are standing there asking where the police are. Where's the National Guard that we called in? Why aren't we stopping the looters and rioters? It seems like the agenda here is they're too focused on stopping the peaceful protesters and stopping the media from putting out the peaceful protesters, and they just want the looting and rioting to keep going. Now, whether that's fact or not, whether that's just me conspiracizing it, I'll let you decipher your own little thing here. You've seen the videos, but from what I see, the evidence is pretty plain and clear. This is just my opinion, and from the evidence that I have seen, it seems pretty obvious that they are willing and letting the rioters and looters continue without intervention and going after the peaceful protesters that are really doing what they need to be doing and going after the media that is putting out the peaceful protests. But it seems that's not what they want to have the media showing. So media I see are getting far less attacked and far less messed with when they're filming the rioters and the looters. But once they take their crews over to the peaceful protesters, well, then they start getting shot by rubber bullets. I find that very strange. Can't necessarily, blame the police or even blame the National Guard. They're only, there's people up above them that are setting them to where they need to go. And as far as our worthless governor, he seems to have no idea or no clue how to handle any sort of real relevant situation, and has shown that repeatedly through even the COVID-19 epidemic. He has literally shown that he is completely incapable of making any right decisions or even governing the police, the National Guard, or even his civilians. It's a complete outrage that he has not put forward any sort of plan, or he is just completely just repeated in every interview that he's had. He just repeats what is happening in front of him. Oh, there's people out here rioting. Yeah, rioting. We know that. There's people out here protesting. We know that. So what are you doing to stop any of the rioting? What are you doing to stop any of the looting? He never seems to have an answer for that. He seems to always just beat around the bush. If you've watched or listened to any of his interviews, it's completely ridiculous, and you just wonder how this guy has ever held any sort of office at all. How this guy even got at McDonald's. I feel employees would be more certified than this guy to do anything. He's probably been at home or something. So, and as far as I won't just blame him. As far as the chief of police, as far as the sergeants, I clearly have asked for their arrest. I feel like they are not doing the right thing either. They are definitely setting officers to the whole other opposite side of the city from where they should actually be protecting businesses and actually preventing this rioting. Because as I do denounce that behavior. I don't feel like destroying your city is really setting a good cause here. And if you want it to stop, I guess even on their end, they've simply asked that, hey, social justice and, arrest every officer involved and give some justice. They've still failed to do that to this day. It's June 1st. They've still failed to arrest the other 3 officers. They fortunately have arrested the murderer. He's also been transferred to 3 different correctional facilities. As of right now that I've seen, he's in a maximum security facility right now. He was on suicide watch, but according to their reports, they have not seen him try to commit suicide or have any suicidal thoughts or claim that he was going to commit suicide. But I'm sure, they want to take every precaution necessary, logic, and really just want to make sure that he faces justice. So you need some protection in order to give justice. You couldn't throw him out to population at this point because, well, we all know the end point of that. Hoping that he's actually protected by not tyrant police officers, because the last thing we need is another Epstein case. Seriously, this guy does need to face justice, and along with these other officers that still remain free, there's been officials, mayors, intelligent people that have asked for their arrest, that completely say that they are just as guilty as him, and as if it was any ordinary civilian, guilty by association, affiliation by association. In any other case, the whole group would have been arrested, and that's still not happening. So obviously there's still civil unrest. There's still protests going on today as I'm talking peacefully. A lot of it has calmed down now, but given Friday, Saturday, you kind of got to figure, weekend days, it's going to be a little bit worse. But we had the National Guard and police being told to just not even mess with them situations, but to definitely infuse and havoc the public. The people that aren't doing anything seems to be the answer. And just strip Constitution. Last I checked, I don't think we've changed the Constitution at all here lately. But the last I checked, that protesting is still a constitutional right. Peaceful protesting still constitutional right. Curfews and just shooting people with rubber bullets and tear gas while sitting on your porch, I still believe is an infringement on our constitutional rights. That just seems bluntly very obvious. But I guess now when there's people doing bad things, you don't go after them, but you tend to go after the public that aren't partaking in any of that. It seems to be the logic. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, if I am wrong, please show me where I am, because as far as every video, every stream, every news article I've read and seen and watched, people are sitting on the porch. It was very there. What did they do before then, or anything? And you would ask that question reasonably. The whole thing's a live feed. The whole thing is a threat. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There was no shooting. There was no reason for these police officers / National Guard to go and start shooting people sitting on their park or on their front porch. According to me, that's still private property, and you're still able to sit on your porch, I guess, unless you are something of live under a dictatorship. Your government has severe oppression. Your governor's a complete idiot. Or you just basically just said constitutional rights don't stand right now because there's some riots happening far from where you are right now, which I didn't read in the Constitution. I haven't seen the fine print. Please show me this. The fine print where it says that all constitutional rights are wiped clean as soon as there's a riot that is happening miles away from where you are. Then you no longer have a constitution or rights as an American citizen. I don't know. I wasn't greatest in school, history class and stuff like that. I missed this fine print. I have missed it, but I still haven't found it either. So I'm still missing it apparently. So it seems like a liable answer. It's completely absurd. The families asked for peace. There's been a lot of protesters that have gone out and started cleaning up the streets. You don't see a lot of that because media is being shunned away from all of North Minneapolis. Well, I shouldn't say all of North, but a lot of people from North Minneapolis headed over to South Minneapolis to start cleaning up the rebel and cleaning off all the graffiti that has been put on these streets and on these businesses. You get little tidbits of that we get to see. And let me be very, very clear here. I live in Minnesota. I live right outside of Minneapolis. So this is very home for me. I would assume if you're out in Oklahoma, maybe you're not getting every little piece of information. But if you're here in Minnesota, it's constantly being pushed. You're constantly seeing what's going on. And what you can see, because the primary goal is, well, I got a lot of friends that are out there and, sending live feeds and Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. So I'm seeing a lot of it, but the news and the media is really being pushed out to actually show what's actually going on. Because remember, like I've stated before, it's a very small amount of people that are actually doing this rioting. It's a very small percentage of these protesters that are actually looting. People need to really keep that in perspective. You've seen Antifa has gone out there. They've been deemed now as a terrorist organization. About time. I don't know why that took so long. But you see, they've also came and have definitely enticed this whole situation. As we've been told by the mayor, that a lot of the arrests that the police have made and the National Guard have witnessed is a lot of people from out of state, a lot of people that come from out of Minneapolis that are going there from out of state and out of town, that are literally going to Minneapolis and going there for not good reasons. They're not going there to peacefully protest. They're not going out there to really support these businesses, protect these businesses, or to really do any good. They are there to cause destruction. We've tried closing, highways and main freeways going into the cities, but that does not seem to work because, well, again, we have the right to travel. Don't take away everything, government. It doesn't seem to be the answer, given that, as you say, you're doing this, but then not even an hour later, you got a bunch of rioters and a new building on fire. So quite honestly, are you really stopping them? Are you really trying to stop this, or are you really just throwing fuel on the fire? Because as far as I see, is you're going after the public that's not partaking, and you're letting the rioters have a free-for-all, and which is weird because the police are constantly told to fall back, fall back, fall back. 3rd precinct, they were told fall back. 5th precinct, told to fall back. And we had a guy that was actually, if you've seen the video, there was a guy literally cutting the fence to the 5th precinct. I won't conspiracize it, but it's kind of weird that the person that was doing it was completely suited up, completely anoned up, had like a military style boots on, had a backpack full of like gear to help with the havoc, and police literally just watched him cut the fence to the 5th precinct and really did nothing. It's odd to me. Not even going to conspiracize, make your own judgments, but it's very strange that's happening. And it was just as far as the guy with the umbrella with the hammer that was smashing up the Target, all the windows. People chased him down. They asked him who they were. Even in the live feed, they were claiming that he was a cop. He's a cop. He's a cop. He's a cop. What department do you work for? So I think the real recognize real, and the real recognize you're definitely, there's definitely being some outsourced play here. And as far as being pallets of bricks being left on the side of the streets for coincidentally the rioters, very, very strange activity. But how else to look at it from a perspective, if you can get the eyes off of the murder and just focus on the rioters, you can come up with your own conclusions. It has been a weird one, but we are seeing a shift and change. We are seeing that that police officers are now starting to speak out. Police officers are starting to walk with protesters. They do understand that this is a broken system. This has been a broken policing, and as far as these sergeants and these chiefs and the way that we've been handling things, it's definitely gone out of control. And I hope that everybody sees it for what it really is. I hope that everybody's watching and actually watching the real reports, the real protesters, the real. There is a lot of real good in people that is shining out right now, and we really just want a real change and some real police work, just not this killing innocent civilians. This is not the way it should be. So I feel that that's what we're gonna get here. And like I said, I don't condone all the rioting and looting, but I do, to a point, see that anarchy was going to be the step to make these changes. And according to the reports, according to the police speaking, according to these mayors, it's been working. So feel how you want, say what you want, but, well, progress is progress. How you get that progress, I'm not going to say it's always going to be the best way, but as long as progress is being made, at the end of the day, the people are winning, and we've had enough, and we have to show you in force that we're not going to stand by and let this happen anymore. I ultimately believe that we need a whole revamping of the system. We need to really have these cops that, even the good cops, I feel like there should be psych evaluations. I feel like all these complaints should be literally addressed, and not only internally but externally too. I feel like the public should have a hear in it and should have a say in it. I feel that this should no longer be thrown under the rug and just, we'll just give them another try, because that's not an acceptable answer, and we see what them kind of answers have given, and that is given the police the outright feel that they're able to go out and cause havoc and, well, kill innocent civilians, because that's the number that they're really not releasing right now. Is they put out the numbers of how many people they've arrested, but they're neglecting to put out the numbers of how many people have died or been killed during these protests. And them numbers are being hidden. Stuff is being hidden here. And it's very interesting that the media is being silenced, and a lot of information and a lot of social media has even been silenced or taken down, or they're just coming up with any old guideline. So it's, you can see where definitely there's a lot of collusion here. There's definitely a lot of forces, I believe, to protect the police at this point, and that's something that we are fighting against. That is something that the whole nation is fighting against. So keeping on doing it and enforcing we can cover up things for you is only enforcing the problem that we have. It's really only pushing people more to have more distrust for not just the police, but for the government themselves, for the people that we elected to make sure that the public stays safe. I find that pretty disturbing. They came back with the autopsy report, and it was so dumb, dude. Like, they were trying to push out that George Floyd had intoxicants in his body, and that he had a heart problem, and that he died of pretty much not suffocation. The family's lawyers come out, and the family, I guess, has come out too and said that they're going to do their own independent autopsy. And it's supposed to come out at 2 o'clock. It's supposed to have come out. I got to look that up. But yeah, they're doing their own autopsy. And it would be interesting to see what their own private autopsy has come out with, instead of this political autopsy has come out to say. So that should be interesting to see. This is going to continue growing. This is going to be something that I don't see is just going to stop in the near future. This is something that I'm probably going to speak on again. But as far as I see and hear, you know, we are in the steps of change. We are finally, our voices are finally being heard for this police brutality and this police injustices. And the public is not your enemy. The public only wants you to do what is right. We want good cops on our streets. We want people not psychotic people that are going to kill civilians. We just want to feel safe in our streets. And I hope that through all this, we can finally start getting to that point and stop with all this police brutality and all this tyrant police force, because it is completely absurd and insane, and it's time for us to wake up, stand up, and be a part of a movement that's going to help America quit destroying it. That is all. Stay safe, stay healthy.